It's time Minecraft gets a new dimension, and honestly I think Mojang knows this and are working on that new dimension right now. Well, we can only hope, but illusions of a good update aside, Minecraft needs a new dimension. And all of the groundwork is here for a Skulk Dimension. So, what will it take for this update that could easily be the most important and iconic in all of Minecraft history to happen, and why it may be being worked on at this very moment? For starters, the 1.19 update added new structures called Ancient Cities alongside with new Skulk blocks and a new Warden mob, which frankly are not the most interesting things here. I wanna focus on this. This apparently useless structure tells you a lot more than can be seen at first, but hey, let's start from the beginning. Also, not to be annoying, but basically nobody watching this is subscribed, so you could try that, right? Sorry, let's move on. From what we can tell, the Skulk is like an infection from another world, with a complex network of blocks that form a sort of living, symbiotic creature. It spreads to the catalyst blocks. Every time a mob dies near that block, a new Skulk gets created. There are other specialized blocks like the Skulk sensors and the Skulk shriekers, which form some kind of immune system to the biome. The Skulk sensors detect if sound is emitted anywhere near it, and then sends out a signal with the objective of alerting nearby Skulk sensors and reaching the Skulk shrieker, which, when triggered 3 times, spawns the Warden to clear anything that is invading and disturbing the Skulk ecosystem. The structure of the Skulk biome reminds me of colonial creatures like the Portuguese man of war, a giant jellyfish-like creature that is actually made of highly specialized individuals called zoids that take specific tasks like floating, reproduction, and catching prey. In this sense, the Skulk operates as a complex ecosystem, and a highly efficient one at that, considering the Deep Dark is the only biome except for the Mushroom Islands where no hostile mobs apart from the Warden can spawn. Also, let me remind you that a Mojang dev even confirmed on Twitter that the Skulk is somewhat sentient. So what does this have to do with the new dimension this video is about? Absolutely everything. I believe this portal is where the Skulk infection came from, which I guess it is pretty self-explanatory. This gate to another world was possibly created by the same civilization that had the ancient cities, accidentally connecting the overworld with the new Skulk dimension that spread and took control of the ancient cities, completely eliminating anything on its path. This is a scary possibility, considering that if this is true, what we see here is just the tip of a Skulk tentacle, the most simple form in which this infection appears, and it couldn't fully take over the overworld or develop more because in some way the portal got shut off, disconnecting this part from the rest of the Skulk. The implications of this are incredible, and I think Mojang knows this. In fact, they probably planned for this all along, as through this portal there could be a world completely taken over by Skulk. That makes this look like nothing, with highly specialized Skulk blocks and mobs sure to scare the crap out of everyone that goes there. And maybe even a Skulk brain, a central structure that is somewhat responsible for controlling the entirety of the new dimension. With this, Mojang has a big opportunity in their hands, both to make the best update Minecraft has ever seen, or to make the worst, most disappointing and utterly useless and annoying thing this game will ever see. My vision for this dimension would be an interconnected world full of different biomes made out of Skulk beings that each serve a different purpose to help maintain the larger system working, much like the cells in your body. Various blocks and plant-like structures, mobs, both passive and aggressive, with different shapes, sizes, each one with its own individual role, and hopefully cool giant structures for the players to explore like they did with the Nether. If done right, it is possible that this gets integrated seamlessly with new things to explore, cool new items, mobs, and challenges. And maybe, just maybe, a new boss, though seriously, the Warden is already hard enough by its own. I don't even want to think about how a Skulk boss would be like, but if done wrong, oh boy, it could be horrible. I think the dev team shouldn't make it so it's somehow required to beat the game by changing the way to get to the end dimension, or anything like that, like some people have been suggesting online, which would destroy speedrunning and can create a big rift in the community. It needs to be some kind of extra dimension that expands the possibilities of the game without changing the core in itself, but it also needs to be unique in its own way. Another thing that must be addressed is the Warden is hard to kill. In fact, I would say too hard for it to be obligatory to kill it. The Warden should be rare and hard to trigger on this new dimension, and you should be able to avoid it, just like you can do in the ancient cities. Instead, other more simple mobs and enemies easier to kill and some even peaceful would make for great alive biomes that you can actually explore without dying instantly. The most important part is the setup is out here. Heck, even the portal is in the game. I believe it's a question of when and not if this new dimension gets added, but it's also a question of how. The way Minecraft adds this update can make or break the game entirely. It can't be too hard to access or traverse, but it also has to be challenging and interesting, with new loot that actually makes it worth it to go there. Perhaps a new or better than netherite? No, I don't think that's a really good idea honestly, but new ores with their own individual properties and uses? Sure, I'm out for that. Just make sure it doesn't end up like copper, just clogging people's inventories. All I know is the portal is here, we just need the key. But well, this is just a theory, a stupid theory. See you some other day.
And go watch those videos here in the corner.